And Teresia, based on your work with ICW documenting cases of forced sterilization, can you tell us about the nature and the impact that forced sterilization has on women living with HIV?
Thank you, Malayah, and thank you for inviting me to this session. Since 2005, ICW has exposed cases of forced and coerced sterilization with other networks of women living with HIV. And since then, it has turned out to be a big violations and a global aspect of violating women living with HIV. Cases has been documented in Eastern Africa, Southern Africa, Southeast Asia, Latin America, and other places in the world. As we speak currently, we have documented cases in over 30 countries worldwide. But what is forced and coerced sterilization? Coerced sterilization is where women living with HIV are made to consent for sterilization even if they don't want, based on either for them to get support or due to misinformation or because of threats. Forced sterilization is where sterilization is done without the knowledge of the woman, and they come to know of it later. So how does this happen? Most of the time, it does happen when consent is obtained during labor, when women living with HIV present themselves to the health workers for delivery, and then they are told to sign the form, the consent form for sterilization. Other women that we have talked to in the network also were coerced into accepting support. For example, some of the women said that if you don't sign this form, then you're not going to have your bills paid at the hospital. You're not going to have your milk that you're supposed to give the baby. Or we are not going to give you nutritional support that we always give you. And some even had to be told that we are not going to give you drugs in some of the facilities. There is also a lot of misinformation by healthcare workers on the issues of family planning and how many children that women living with HIV should have. And so when women are told that if you give birth, you're going to die, then it leaves them in a compromising situation. Women living with HIV who also have disability has faced coerced and forced sterilization, and most of them have been coerced or forced to sign forms, either through their partners or their spouses, or even through their parents. But the most endearing one is the forced one, where women living with HIV go to the theater for cesarean section, but when they come out, they are already sterilized. When I was giving birth to my second child, and I mention this most of the time, when I was being wheeled to the theater, my doctor was busy telling me that she's going to sterilize me. And as a woman living with HIV, there were so many things and fears that were going within my head. I was afraid of going to infect my child. I was even afraid of dying. And so the issues of sterilization was not open in my head, and I could not even say no. So due to that fear and due to other concerns that I was having then I was not able to negotiate and talk to my doctor and say, we need to discuss about this. I need to go and discuss with my partner. But true to her word, when I was wheeled back to my bed after cesarean section, the following day she was telling me, sign here because I already sterilized you. To me, that is violation of the greatest order. That is humiliation of the greatest order for women living with HIV. Why? Because we have a right to consent. I can understand what sterilization is. I can even understand that a woman living with HIV should not give birth to so many children and should space them. But I need that information to be given to me, and then I need to be given that opportunity to make informed consent. Like many other women around the world, as I've said, who are facing forced and coerced sterilization, it has a lot of impact, Malayah. And one of them is that there is a lot of intimate partner violence. In our African setup, if a woman is not giving birth, then you are seemed to be nothing. And most of them have been chased away from their matrimonial home, thus losing their inheritance and their source of livelihood. One of the other things is that there is a lot of increased stigma towards women living with HIV who cannot give birth, and so that is like double stigma, because you're already HIV positive, you cannot give birth. And I remember one of the women that we were talking to during our usual psychosocial support and documenting the cases of forced and coerced sterilization. She had a child when she was only 20. She was forced and forcefully sterilized. But a year later, the child died, and she was not able to give birth again. So she was chased away from her matrimonial home. The husband left her, and she's not able to remarry again. We know that we can live even after 20 years with HIV, but without exercising our reproductive health rights, I think it would be difficult for women to do that. So a lot of impact really for women living with HIV who have been sterilized without their will. Thank you.